All right, can you hear me on Zoom? All right, thank you. All right, why don't we get started? So we got a lot to cover today, a lot of the practice problems. Let me just remind you of what's due and just briefly remind you of what to expect for the exam, and then we'll get started. So chapter 6 and 7 homework number 3 is due tonight. Make sure you get that done. That covers the last material that we're going to have on the exam. And then so then that's it for the homework. Let me just remember to remind you of the exam details. So midterm 1 details here, just briefly run through it, make sure I put the right material in here. All right, so it's Wednesday in class. It's going to cover all the material that we've covered so far. So it's either the OneNote notes, or if anybody's following along in the book, chapters 1, 2, 6, and 7, although we didn't do everything in chapters 1 and 2. But that's the basic material. I think it's 28 questions. Okay, I was going to go up to about 30, and then I cut it back. I thought it was a little bit long. We'll see how it goes, but I think it's 28 questions, somewhere in that range. Should be similar in style to the homework or to ones that we've worked in class, so expect that. Bring a calculator, bring the skinny green Scantron form 882E. 1-page double-sided handwritten notes, or you can do 2 single-sided if you want, either one. I don't care, it's the same amount. It needs to be handwritten. You can put whatever you want on there. I don't restrict what you can put on there. You're probably going to need scratch paper. I'm going to try to remember to bring scratch paper. You can also bring your own if you want. Okay, but it needs to be blank scratch paper. At the end of the exam, I'm going to ask you to, turn in the exam Scantron, your page of notes, and the and any scratch paper that you use. Okay, so we'll just turn in everything at the end. And I think that's it. So today what I'm going to do is, I don't know if you saw it, but I posted the exam questions, just practice questions. I'm going to get this out of the way. So I'm just going to run through these. I think these are good practice. So I don't know if you went through them beforehand, or if I think it's really good to even come in right now and just see if you can work these problems together. And we'll just work through them and see how many we get through. And then I will post this with the solutions after we get done through it today. If we don't get through it all, then I will add some of the solutions to anything we missed. And I'll also post those. And then also remember to join in office hours if you have any questions. I'm always available there. Okay, any questions before we just jump right into this? I think this is a great way to make sure that you're up to speed on the material and comfortable with everything. All right, let's get going. And again, I posted this on Canvas. And so you can download it, or you can, write down these questions, although that'll take you a bit of time. So it's probably good to download it. Let's go through these and just see how you do on them. All right, so here's the first one. Assume that you open a 100-share short position in Jiffy Incorporated common stock at the bid-ask price of 32 and 32.50. Which one's the bid? Which one's the ask? We actually didn't cover this too much in this class, so I'll go pretty quickly over this problem. We're focused more on the options, but you should know some of these basics. So 32 is the bid, 32.50 is the ask. When you close your position, the bid ask prices are 32.50 and 33. If you pay a commission rate of 0.5%, calculate your profit or loss on the short investment. Okay, You should work through these together with me. This one I will do, just jump right into. Some of the others I might give you a minute or so to do the problem. But let me jump right into this one. So I short sell 100 shares. So I'm just going to write it like this. I sell 100 shares. What price am I going to get? Let's assume I put in a market order. Yeah, so I'm going to get 32. Okay. So that means I'm going to get 3,200 from selling right there. Okay. And then I'm going to buy, right? That's when I close my position. I'm going to have to buy 100 shares. What price do I get when I buy? What price do I have to pay? I pay the ask price, 33. Okay, so from this, how much am I losing here? I sold at 3,200. I bought at 3,300. So I lost $100 here, right? So that's not the whole story. So what was the other thing? If you pay a commission rate of 0.5% per transaction, calculate your profit or loss. So then I also have over here the commission. Okay, and the commission is 0.5%. Okay, so what's 0.5% of, so this is my 0.5%. How much is that? Is that 16? I don't have a calculator on me, but it should be half of that. And so I'm going to have to pay that in commission on this transaction. What about the next one? 0.5%. How much is that going to be? I'm guessing 1650. Is that right? So these are my commissions. So this is also a loss, right? I have to pay this. So this is going to be 3250. And so the total, and I'm going to make this negative because I had to pay that. And so my total together is going to be minus 132.50. Which one does that correspond to? That corresponds to A. Okay, at most I would put one problem like this on, because we didn't, on the exam, because we didn't focus on this kind of problem that much. So I went quickly over it here. Make sure you know the bid and the ask and that sort of basic stuff, and able to calculate a profit or loss if you do simple buying and selling. All right, let's go on to the next one. I'm going to move pretty fast. Stop me if you have any questions. Otherwise, I want to make sure that we get through all of this. Let's look at the next one. The total number of contracts which exist is referred to as the what? It's just definition. Which one's the total number of contracts? Open interest, trading volume, notional value, or market value? A, it's open interest, right? And we actually had, so if you go back to the homework, we had some simple cases where there was a scenario where it's like A buys from C and then B, whatever, and you needed to be able to calculate either open interest or trading volume. Make sure you know how to do that as well. Okay. So trading, by the way, trading volume, how does that differ from open interest? It's the number of trades that occurred, whereas open interest is the number of contracts that exist. Okay. This measures the number of financial claims that change. Oh, I had this right here. That change hands either daily or annually. That's A, trading volume. Okay. So again, make sure you know those basic definitions of open interest and trading volume and bid ask and all that stuff was sort of background, and how to calculate those in a simple scenario. All right, let's move on to now jumping into ones that are more about options. You purchase one MBI July 120 call. Hopefully we've seen this notation in the homework. When we say July 120 call, what is the 120 referring to? That's the strike, okay? So July, and July is what? The expiration month. July 120 call contract. And here, so in the problems on the exam, some I won't mention a multiplier, then assume They're on a single share. Otherwise, if I explicitly mention a multiplier, then you got to bring the multiplier into account. And if I do explicitly mention it, I'm going to use 100 because that's the standard multiplier. Okay, so you purchase one MBI July 120 call contract. And here I've mentioned it equals 100 shares. So we've got that multiplier. For a premium of $5, you hold the option until expiration date when MBI stock sells for 123 per share. You will realize a blank on the investment. And when we look at the answers, we have loss, profit, profit. So we're talking here about profit or loss. Go ahead and do that calculation now and tell me the answer. Best way to see whether you know it, how to do these or not, is actually to try the problem. Are you already done?
Oh, no. Is premium of $5 per share? Or does
premium is always per share. It's always per share. That's the way you see it quoted as well. It's always per share. So you've got to do the multiplier yourself. Anybody fast enough to get to the answer, or do I need to give you a little more time? The $200 loss. Okay, so by the way, tell me if I'm not giving you enough time, but let's go through this. So this is profit or loss. I'm always going to fall back on the formulas that we have, right? So the formula that we had for profit or loss was what? So it's going to say the number of calls and then the payoff minus the price, right? So maybe you can do, probably a lot of you, if you're familiar with, I don't know if it's a lot of you, but some of you can do these in your head without having to do this. I'm always going to fall back on the formula. So N sub C, that's the number of calls, right? And because we have the multiplier of 100, that's 100. Okay, C sub T, that's the payoff of the call. So payoff, I'll even be very, very careful on this first one. So S sub T minus X, and then minus the premium, right? So I'm being extra careful on this one. And here S sub T is 123. The strike is 120. So what's the payoff? $3 minus the premium was 5. And so we get minus 200. And so that's a $200 loss. Okay. So this is just calculating profit or loss. And I'm going to keep moving pretty quickly because I want to make sure I get through all of these. So stop me if you have questions. You purchase one MBI July 120 put contract. So this one's going to be, I think, pretty similar. It's just flipping it to a put. So we make sure we know how to do that. Equaling 100 shares for a premium of $3. You hold the option until expiration date when the MBI stock sells for 123 per share. You'll realize what on the investment. So this is the same thing, you just flipped it to a put. What's the answer? Anybody get the answer? Everybody getting C? Let's go through it again. I have a put here, so I just do the number of puts, put payoff minus the premium. Everybody okay with that? That was our basic formula. And I'm purchasing these, so I have 100. That's the multiplier of 100. The payoff of this put, let me do this one carefully because this is the first time we've hit a put here. X minus S sub T minus the put premium of $3. Let's go back to here, 100. And X here is what, 120? 123. Is this put in the money, at the money, or out of the money? It's out of the money. So the payoff is 0 minus 3. And so I got minus 300. And the answer was C. Let's do one more of this flavor. Just one more of this flavor. You write, so now I'm writing, I'm not purchasing, but I'm writing an MBI July 120 contract. It's got a premium of $4. The stock ends up at 121 per share at expiration. What's our profit or loss on this? The only maybe tricky part of this one is that I'm writing the calls this time. I'm not buying them. Is anybody able to, I don't know if I'm giving you enough time or going too fast, able to crank through this one? C, are people getting C? All right, let's go through our formula again. All right, I've got this multiplier of 100. I'm writing the calls. What does that mean? I'm selling them, I'm short them. So my position here, so if I go N sub C, CT minus C0, N sub C is going to be what? Negative 100, yes, because I am short. I'm the one who's writing this. And then I need to do the payoff again. So max of 0, and it ends up at 121. The strike was 120 minus the premium of 4. And I just plug through this. And is this in the money, at the money, or out of the money? It's in the money. It's $1 in the money, 1 minus 4. So, oops. Did the subtraction in my head, minus 3. So I'm going to end up with a positive 300. And that's C. Because the two negatives cancel out. Yep. Yep. So you actually make money on this. All right, everybody okay with those? Let's move on to the next. All right, so let's use the figure to answer the question below. There's just one here. This graph depicts the payoff. We're not talking about profit or loss, we're talking about payoff. Depicts the payoff of what? Short position in a call option at expiration, a long position in a call option at expiration, a long position in a put, or a short position in a put. Which one is this? This is A. This is the short position in the put. Everybody should be able to recognize that. Remember, a long position looks like this. Oh, did I say put? Sorry, call. This is a short position. The answer was right. A short position in a call. So a long position in a call looks like this. So a short position looks like that. And that's what we have sitting right here. On the put side, a long position in a put looks like that, and a short position in a put looks like that. Okay, so now let's move on to the next one. Again, stop me if you have questions, otherwise I'll move pretty quickly. I don't have a great sense of how long it'll take to get through all these, so I want to make sure that I'm getting through them on time. All right, so how about this one? This graph depicts the payoff of what? Short position in a call, long position in a call, the long position in a put, or a short position in a put. Which one is this one? C, a long position in a put. Yeah, that's the payoff of a put. Remember, a put goes like that, and we're long the put. All right, everybody comfortable with these? They can see them, and boom, yeah, that's a long a put, short a put, whatever. All right, good. Consider a call option with strike at 90 and premium $9. we got a call option here. The current price of the underlying is 95. What is the time value of this option? And here I didn't give you the multiple choice. The exam will be multiple choice. Which makes it easier, right? Because then you can guess. You got a chance. You know what? I once knew a professor who used to take off points for wrong answers. Yeah, because they didn't want to encourage guessing. So like if you're going to guess, yeah, it'll cost you. Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, what does?
The SAT.
Oh, the SAT does.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Glad I don't have to do that. All right, how about this one? How about this one here? So I want the time value of the option. You guys remember what the time value was? So we had intrinsic value and time value. Let's walk through this. So the intrinsic value, which the book calls the exercise value. I've heard the name intrinsic value more, so I tend to call it intrinsic value, but exercise value is a great name because you just take the exercise function of the payoff value. So what's the intrinsic value? The intrinsic value is just, I just evaluate the payoff function, but I use the current price. So here it's a call 95 minus the strike of 90. And so the intrinsic value is going to be $5. Okay. And then we are asking for the time value. And what's time value equal to? Yeah, premium minus intrinsic value. Or another way to write this is you can write the premium is just the time value plus the intrinsic value. That's a good way to write it. Because then the whole price that you're paying is just the sum of those two. So let's plug that in. The premium is $9. The intrinsic value we just calculated was $5. Here we get $4 for the time value. Make sure you know intrinsic value, time value, how to calculate these. Okay. All right, any questions on that? You know how to do that for a call, for a put, for any of those. All right, let's go to the next one. A blank option can be exercised, can only be exercised on the expiration date. That's an easy one, a European option, right? And the only other one that we've looked at, European and American options. Yeah. Yeah, there are other kinds of options. I don't know if I mentioned that. There are many, many names for them, but the big exchange traded ones are Europeans and Americans. All right, at contract expiration, the value of a call is blank, where X equals the option strike price and S sub T is the stock price at contract expiration. This is just saying, do you know the payoff function of a call? Which one is the payoff function of a call? D, max of 0, S sub T minus X. Everybody's got to know this. All right, the next one is similar. At contract expiration, the value of a put option is what? Which one? Is it C? Okay. I got to look at that carefully. Okay, C. Everybody's got to know these. In fact, there's no excuse for missing a problem like this because you can have it on your cheat sheet. Yeah. All right. So far, these are not too bad, right? Everybody be zooming through them. Okay. How about this one? This one's easy too. An American put option gives its holder the right to what? Talking about American put option. Sell the underlying asset at the expiration price on or before the expiration date. Sell the underlying asset at the exercise price only at the expiration date Buy the underlying asset at the exercise price only at the expiration date, or buy the underlying asset at the exercise price on or before the expiration date. Which one's a put? Put is A, yes, those are all very easy. So those are like basic definitions. You got to know those. Very solid. By the way, on the exam, it's 28 questions. And I actually cut back a little bit because I thought it was a little bit long. Make sure you're working quickly through it. I never have a good sense for the exact length, because if you're the one who makes up the problems and stuff, then yeah, you don't have a sense of how long it's going to take. But make sure you're using your time wisely. All right, let's go to the next one here. You purchase a call option on a stock. The profit at contract maturity of the option position is blank, where X equals the option strike price. So this is a similar one. And C0 is the original purchase price or the premium. So this is asking you for the profit formula. And there's just a single, you purchase a single call option. So which one is this going to be? It gives you different options. Yes, so it's going to be B, which is just C. We've been always writing it like this, right? C sub T minus the premium, and that's it. Don't be thrown off by these ones that are going to try to stick C0 inside there. There is our answer to that one. All right, going very fast through these, but that's good. Writer of a put option. Writer of a put option, what? Has the right to buy shares at a set price, has the right to sell shares at a set price, agrees to sell shares at a set price if the option holder desires, agrees to buy shares at a set price if the option holder desires. All right, so this one is a little bit tricky because we got to think a put option, but this is the writer of the put. So the writer of the put, if somebody exercises the put, what are they going to do? A put, you put the shares to somebody else. That's why it's called a put, right? You sell. Who do you sell the shares to? The option writer. So as the option writer, you have to buy. Okay, so that can be a little bit tricky. You got to think it through. So which one is that? Agrees to buy shares at the set price if the option holder desires. A call would be C. Yes, call would be C. Yeah, I have to think about those. All right, everybody okay with these or questions? No, the writer of a put is short a put. So if you sell, if you write an option, doesn't matter what kind of an option it is, you are short. If you buy an option, doesn't matter what kind of an option it is, you are long. That's the terminology that we use. Otherwise, it gets way too complicated. You could imagine that you have to know the details of a contract in order to determine whether you are long or short. No. We don't do any of that. If you write one, you're short. If you buy one, you're long. That's it. That's it. All right. Another one here. We didn't talk about this that much, but let's see if we can get the answer to this one. Advantages of exchange traded options over OTC options. What does OTC even stand for? Over the counter. Yeah, we mentioned this very briefly. So I don't know that I would question you on this. All of this was I mean, we did mention it, but exchange traded options over OTC options includes all but which one of the following. So exchange traded, no concerns about counterparty credit risk. Contracts are tailored to meet the needs of market participants. Ease and low cost of trading, anonymity of participants. So which one is, oh, all but which one of the following? So the answer E, right? Again, this is a tricky one. We didn't talk about this. Contracts are tailored to meet the needs of market participants. Exchange traded options are all standardized. They have to be standardized. You only go over the counter if you want something special, right? Anyway, that's probably wouldn't ask you something like that on the exam, although you should know the difference between an exchange traded option and over the counter. All right. Each listed stock option contract gives the holder the right to buy or sell blank shares of stock. What is the standard contract multiplier for stocks? That's 100. Okay. And in the problems, I'm not, for any calculation problems, I'm going to make it explicit. I'm going to say the multiplier is 100 if there is a multiplier. If I don't mention a multiplier, then don't use a multiplier, just use one. Okay. All right, a put option on Dr. Pepper Snapple Group has an exercise price of 45. So we've got a put here, exercise price of 45. Current stock price is 41. The put option is what? In the money, at the money, out of the money, or knocked out. It is in the money because it's a put in the money. And so for a put, what do? We look at the strike. Strike here is 45, exercise price is 45, and the stock price is below the strike, so that is in the money. You can also just calculate the payoff function. If the payoff function is positive, you know it's in the money, right? You can also think of the payoff diagram like that, and the current price is at a price where it has value, so that's in the money. Okay, so know your moneyness. All right, you invest in the stock of Rayleigh Corp and write a call option on Rayleigh Corp. This strategy is called a what? So you bought the stock and then you write a call on it. What is that called? Long straddle, naked call. By the way, they'll call it like a naked call or a put, meaning you don't hold the underlying. That's what they mean by that. That's the only position that you have. So to specify that, they'll often say, call it a naked call or a naked put. A money spread or a covered call. Which one was this? This is the covered call. So know all your strategies, know what they're made up of, be able to recognize those by name. All right, a call option on, what does that say? Brocklehurst Corp has an exercise price of 30. So there's our strike. The current price of the stock is 32. So this is another one in the money, at the money, whatever. The call option is what? Knocked in, at the money, out of the money, or in the money. We're talking about a call here. Strike is 30. The current price is sitting up here, right, at 32. What does a call option payoff look like? It looks like that. So are we in the money? We're in the money. Yeah, in the money, right? All right, what if this had been at 30? The price had been at 30. What do we? We're at the money, and then anywhere below 30 is out of the money. No, knocked in, they're just throwing, 4 answers, got to come with 4 answers. It actually has to do with, there are different names for these, barrier options or knock-ins or knockouts. There are different kinds of options. Most of these are over the counter where they will set a level, and then if it hits it, it'll get knocked in or knocked out or whatever. There's a whole bunch of different stuff that they do, but we didn't talk about that. So likely if you see a name that you do not recognize, it's not the right answer. All right, European call option. This should be easy too. Did we already have this one? A European call option gives the buyer the right to what? Buy the underlying asset at the exercise price only at the expiration date. Sell the underlying, the exercise price only at the expiration. Buy the underlying on or before expiration, or sell the underlying on or before. We're talking about a European call option is A, right? Call option. Buy the underlying asset only at the expiration date. All right, I feel like we're zooming through these, but I don't All right, you invest in the stock of Valley View Corp and purchase a put option on Valley View Corp. This strategy is called a what? Protected put, long straddle, naked put, or a short stroll. What is this? That means you have stock and then you buy a put. That's the protective put. That's the protective put. So know these strategies. Also know what they look like. Know what they look like. So what is going to be the payoff of this one? It's going to look like this, and then it's going to cut off at some level, right? Versus this is going to look like a covered call, and etc. We had other ones like a straddle is like that, butterfly spread, etc. Know what those look like as well. All right, maximum loss a buyer of a stock call option can suffer is what? You buy a call option, what's the most you can lose? Call premium, stock price minus, wait, strike price minus the stock price minus the value of the call. What is it? It's call premium. Yeah, you buy the call option, and in worst case, it ends up out of the money. It's worthless. You throw it out, and you just lost however much you paid. What about for a put? If this had been a put, I buy a put. I buy a put. What's going to be the maximum I can lose? Put premium again, because you buy it and then you don't have to use it. So, all right. What if you write a call? What's the max you can lose? It's unlimited. That's going to be like that. It's going to be unlimited. And what about a if you write a put? Well, that's trickier. Okay, it's going to go along. It's going to come down, and it's going to hit at some value. This should be minus X plus the put premium. But that one will have a limited loss. Okay. So message here, no, if you're asked to calculate, what's the worst case loss for any of these? Is there a question? Yeah. Oh, so if I write a put, and again, we have this in our notes, but if I write a put, so remember, if you're long a put, it's going to look like that. And so if I write a put, I'm short a put, it's going to look like that. And so the max loss will be you'd plug in 0 for the price of the stock. So if you wanted to do it carefully, I'd go to my profit. I always go to my profit formula. I'm short a put, and then it would be the put payoff minus the premium. Oh boy, now I'm going to have to go through this. So if this is -1, worst case is the stock price, S sub t ends up at 0. So if it ends up at 0, let's just go through the put payoff. It's X minus S sub t, but the worst case is this is 0 minus the put premium. So I'm going to end up with -1 X minus P0 or minus X plus P0. You have this formula in your notes somewhere, I'm pretty sure. But that's the worst case for a put, if you're short a put or you've written a put. Potential loss for the writer of a naked call option on a stock is what? We just went over that. What's that? B, unlimited. And remember, just that diagram looks like that. So it's unlimited. Are you guys feeling comfortable with this? You're saying, I know this, or it's like, it takes me a little time, but I can get this, or like, you can get it. Okay, good. All right, the writer of a call option will want the value of the underlying asset to blank. Let's stop there because we should be able to answer this first one and that'll limit it down. I'm the writer of a call option. I'll want the value of the underlying asset to do what? Decrease. So I can just think if I bought the call option, what do I want it to do? Remember, a call option payoff looks like that. So I want the underlying asset to go up, but I didn't buy it. I'm on the other side, so I want the opposite. I want it to go down. So that's decrease. So we're going to be either A or C. And let's look at the next one. The buyer of a put option. Now I'm buying the put option. The buyer of a put option will want the value of the underlying asset to what? Let's look at the payoff of a put option. I want it to go down, right? Decrease, decrease. So that would be C. Am I going too fast? Am I losing people or okay? All right, let's go into, I think some of these are more calculation. Refer to the table above. If you were to construct a covered call using the 55 strike call, let's see where the 55 strike call is. That's this one right here. And I have the call right there. So there's the call premium. And the stock price at expiration is 47. Calculate your profit or loss. Oh, and by the way, here, I should point this out about the table. It says the underlying stock price is at 50. So when I enter into this covered call, remember there are two parts to a covered call. I'm long the stock. So let's assume I go long the stock at 50. And I do the covered call using this call here. And then the stock price at expiration is 47. Calculate your profit or loss. I'm going to give you a minute to do this one. This one is, now we're beginning to get a little more complicated. Anybody get to the answer on this one? All right, let me start into it. So covered call has two legs. So the first is I'm long the stock. So what's my profit or loss on that? S sub t minus S0. And then I'm short a call. So that's why I have the minus sign there. C sub t minus C0. Okay. So I always go back through the profit function. So let's write these down. So the stock S sub t, that's 47. And how much did I pay for the stock? Right up there, that's 50. All right, and now I have the call. So let's go to the call. Max, I'm going to do the payoff. S sub t is 47. What's the strike on the call? I use the 55 strike. minus the call premium. What was the call premium? Was $2. That's what I circled right up here. And then I'm just going to crunch through this. So I'm going to get -3. That's what I lost from the stock. Minus the call ends up what? Out of the money. So 0 minus 2. So it's going to -3 plus 2 minus 1. Did I do that right? Is that what everybody got? -1. Sorry? Did I do that right? You guys got to check me. Okay, everybody okay with this? Again, I always fall back on the profit formula. The profit formula, just go back to that and just crunch through it carefully. Some of you are probably good enough to do these things in your head, just think them through, but you can always fall back on the profit formula. Let's go to the next part. Refer to the table above. So we're talking about the same table. If you were to construct a covered call using the 55 strike, that's what we just did. What's your maximum possible gain? So let's try this one. Your max possible gain. So for this, maybe you have the formula, or if you don't have the formula, maybe you can calculate it on your own. Did anybody get to it? 7, right? Everybody gets 7. Okay, so the formula, if I remember the formula correctly, tell me if this is right. So it's going to be x minus S0 plus C0. Is that right for the formula? But then I'll show you how you can get this without it. So we had 55 minus 50 plus 2. That was the premium, or we get 7. Okay, so that's probably the easy way. I gave you guys the formulas. You can just plug into the formulas. That's not hard at all. If you don't have the formula, then let's remember what the profit or loss of a covered call looks like, and it looks like that. And this occurs at where it flattens off, is it flattens off at the strike. So I can see at the strike, that's the max gain. So the other approach, this is sort of a approach number 2, is I can calculate the profit or loss, but when S sub t is equal to the strike. Okay, so if I do that, then my profit or loss, I have S sub t minus S0, and it's the same thing, right? That was my profit or loss formula. S sub t here, I'm going to take to be the strike. So that's what I'm substituting in right here. Minus S0. And then here, I can go through the careful calculation of this, but I actually know that that option is, the call option will be what right at the strike? Will be in the money, at the money, or out of the money? Does anybody know? At the strike, I'm taking the underlying stock price to be at the strike. That's the definition of at the money. So it's going to be an at the money option, which means this is going to be 0. Okay, that's kind of a shortcut. I wouldn't expect you to know that, but I could go carefully through it. And then minus C0. And then I would just plug into that. And I get the same formula. How about the next one? Refer to the table above. If you were to construct a covered call using the 55 strike call, what's the break-even stock price? So again, this is one, I made it easy for you guys by giving you the formulas, and you have a cheat sheet. So if you put those down, at least as long as you're comfortable with them, whatever, that makes it pretty easy. And let me remind you here, yeah, the premium was $2. And we can look at the diagram. Does anybody remember what it was, what the break even was? Yes. So the break even, it was S0 minus C0. And S0 was 50, C0 was 2. So we're going to get 48. 48. Make sure you know these and you're comfortable with doing all these calculations. All right, one more here. We're going to switch it from the covered call to a protective put. Table above, if you were to construct a protective put using the 45 strike put, what would be the profit or loss if the stock price is $30 at expiration? Let's go look at that. So we're doing a protective put. And again, like in the exam, I'm not going to tell you what a protective put is. You need to know what that is. But we're using, for the put, we're using the 45 strike right here. Put premium is $2 on the 45 strike. And we're using that for the protective put. So basic numbers here, the put premium is $2. Remember the initial stock price is 50. You do a protective put and the stock ends up at 30. What's your profit or loss? Anybody have the answer to this, or we may need to give you a little more time? A loss of 7. Yep. Maybe give you another minute to work through it to get that. I'll begin to write the answer down here. Again, we're talking about profit or loss. So I'm going to go back to that same formula. What is a protective put? A protective put is I'm long the stock. And then what's my position in the put? Long or short? I'm long a put. So it's just this. Now I just plug in the numbers, right? So S sub T, that's this right here. S sub T is 30. So I've got 30 minus 50 plus, let's go to that put payoff, 0x minus S sub T minus the put premium was $2. So I'm going to get a minus $20 loss. That's this right here. Plus, and then the max, let's see, this was 45 strike and it ends up at 30. So how much, what's the payoff of my put? $15, 45 minus 30, strike minus that final one, minus 2. And let's see what I have here. Minus 20 plus 13, that's minus 7. Minus $7. So again, some of these, if you're familiar with the way a protective put works, you might be able to just brain it out without doing this, because the protective put is going to protect you at 45. It's got the strike at 45, so it's not going to allow you to drop below 45. You can always sell for 45. So that means you can lose $5 maximum from that. That is, you bought it at 50, you're always going to be able to sell for 45. So there's a $5 loss, but you had to pay for that protection. How much did you have to pay for that protection? The $2 put premium, that's a loss of 7. Anyway, you don't have to do that. You don't have to be able to do that. You can always fall back on the profit or loss. All right, you guys ready for the next one? Let's look at this. Refer to the profit loss plot above of a protective put. Okay, so this is for, I tell you, this is for a protective put. Assume the underlying stock was purchased at a price of 55. So this is where you purchased it. This was your S0. What is the strike and premium of the put option used in the protective put? So first, let's look for the strike price. What do you think the strike price is going to be, and how do I determine that for a protective put? It's going to be 50. So the strike is going to be 50. And that's because that's where this, you see the put is kicking in there. That's when the put is going into the money. It's offering its protection, and it offers its protection at the strike. So that's 50. Okay, so then the question is, the strike is 50. What is the premium? The premium 5 or 10? So I can see that I'm down here at 10, and I could probably go. So one way to do it is I could go to the max loss formula for a protective put. I know what the strike is. I could just, pick a point like here, and I could calculate the max loss, and that should be able to tell me what the premium was, right? So I could do an approach like that. Maybe I'll do that in a second if you want to see that. But otherwise here, does anybody know, is it 10 or 5? What do you think is the put premium? It's 5. So why is it 5? Well, the put is going to kick in at a strike of 50. I bought at 55, so I'm going to lose $5 just on that, and then the put is going to kick in. So I'm going to lose $5 just because it's going to fall down to the strike. But then I'm also losing an additional $5. Where did that come from? That was the price that I paid for the put. So that's going to give me to this answer. That's sort of braining it out. Let's do it. Let's do it maybe another way here. So maybe I go and I look in my formula sheet, and I'm going to look up the max loss for a put. And what am I going to get? Max loss for a put. I'm going to get X minus S0. Is this correct, by the way? I'm doing this off the top of my head, just looking at it, but I think this is correct. Okay, I'm going to look at that max loss, and it's this, right? And so I know here, I figured out what the strike was, right? The strike was 50. What was S0? Well, they told me in the problem it was 55 minus P0. And then I look on this diagram, and what is this max loss value? It's minus 10. So I'm just going to solve this. I'm going to have minus 5 minus P0 equals minus 10. And this is going to help me solve for the put premium, flip everything. I'm going to get P0 is equal to 5. So there you go. But this one's a trickier, right? So now we're upping the difficulty of the problems a bit. And we're going to throw in some more strategies here. Consider a put bear spread using two puts with strikes 50 and 40. So again, I'm not going to tell you what a bear spread is, or a put spread here. You need to know that. The premium of the 50 strike put is $7, and the premium of the 40 strike put is $1. Answer the following about the put bear spread. What's the break-even stock price? Got to remember your formulas. Either that or see if you can calculate it out. You could do a put bull spread, but the fact that it's a bear spread, so that's a good question. So a bear spread means that you're betting that the market is going to go down, or you're betting that the underlying is going to go down. So that means if you look at its payoff diagram, it's going to look like this. Which means you are, which put are you long and which put are you short? This is a bear spread, yeah. So a bear, you're a bear on the underlying, you want it to go down. That's the difference. A bull spread is going to look like that. The payoff is going to look like that, and you want the underlying to go up. All right, these are getting tricky for me to do in my head. So break-even stock price. Did anybody have the formula? Otherwise, I will. Let's see. You said it's X2, and then it should be. I should subtract off the difference in the put premiums. Oh, so let's see. I was doing this, right? The superscript, and so there should be the difference in the premiums. And so that should be P2 minus P1. Is that correct? Is that what I had?
Minus the parentheses and then plus. I did, but I don't put.
Oh, wait. So don't add those. So this is the formula you had. You had minus P02 plus. Yes, that's the same thing, right? That's the same thing. Yeah, sorry, I don't have those formulas memorized. I'm trying to do it in my head here. Okay. All right, so it should be this. And so the strike, this is strike X2. Which one? So here's my diagram over here. This strike here is what? X1 or X2? Because that's going to throw off your answer. Is that X1 or X2? Yeah, so the convention that I used, if you want to use those formulas, is I always went up in strike. So X1 was a lower strike value than X2 is higher. X3 would be even higher than that. So I always ordered it that direction, in direction of the strike. So X2 is going to be the high one. So here, what is X2? What value? Yeah, it's 50. All right, and then the price of P2 here, that's the $7. That should be the more expensive put. And then plus the $1. So what do I get? 44.
X1 is greater than X2.
No, X1 will not be greater than X2. The way the convention that I used is if you see a 1 and a 2, the 1 corresponds to the lower strike, 2 is higher strike. And if there were a 3, like in a butterfly spread, they're going up in order there too. 1, 2, 3, always going up in the amount. Okay, what about max loss and maximum gain of this strategy? So max loss is actually not too hard because let's think about the strategy. I buy a put and I sell another put. Yeah, it's going to be the price, the overall price. So you bought one, so it's going to be minus P02 plus P01. Oh, did I have it flipped around in the notes? Sorry. Okay, and so this is going to be minus 7 plus 1 or minus 6. That's going to be your last max loss and max gain. What's going to be the max gain here? Yeah, X2 minus X1, and that's going to be subtract off the price, right? Minus P02 minus P01. Okay, so I'm going for the formula here. Maybe I'll do this max gain also. Like you guys should all have these formulas down on your cheat sheet, but then if you don't have it down, let me show you how you could get it. How you could get it anyway. So let's calculate this. The strike was 50. Again, that's the larger strike. X2 is always going to be greater than X1 in the convention that I used. And then minus, and then this was 7 minus 1. So it's going to be 10 minus, yeah, so 10 minus 7, that's 3. Huh? Minus 6, thank you, 4, yes. Sorry. All right, now if you didn't have now you should have these formulas, but say, I don't know, you forget your papers or something coming in to class or whatever. Then what would you do here? Well, look, I'm going to look. I know the diagram, and so I'm going to look, and I know that the max gain occurs when S sub t is equal to x1. So I'm just going to plug that into the profit formula. Okay, so let's very quickly do that. If I plug this in, but I'm plugging it in using, I'm going to use S sub t is equal to x1. Then what do I have here? I had P2 minus P02. That's because I was long that put, and then I'm short P1. And so I'm going to plug into this. Okay, and if I plug into this, I'm going to go quickly through this, but if you plugged in at X1, what is the payoff of P2? It's going to be the difference in the strikes. It's going to be X2 minus X1. Sorry, I keep on doing it with subscripts. X2 minus X1 minus the premium P01. That's the first term. Minus P1. P1 is at the money at that spot, so I'm going to get this. I just messed this up again. I'm sorry. It's probably making it more confusing than it is helpful. But I would plug in, because I know by looking at the diagram, I know right here is where the maximum occurs. So I can just plug in S sub t equal to that in the profit, and I could get the value. All right. I'm not going to go through that right here. We have a few minutes left. Let me keep on going through these. If the stock price is 43 at expiration, what is the profit loss from the put bear spread if each option has a multiplier of 100? Now I'm adding the multiplier of 100 in. Go ahead and try to calculate this one. Stock price ends up at 43. This is just a profit or loss calculation of the put bear spread. Let's see how many more problems I put in here. Let's do this. I don't have too much time left, so I'm going to go through this one. This is a profit or loss calculation. Profit or loss, we just go to our formula. And the put bear spread, I'm long at strike X2. That's put 2. I'm short at strike X1. Okay. And then I just need to evaluate this when S sub t is equal to 43. And I remember the strikes were 40 and 50. So I'm going to have max 0 P2 at a strike of 50 minus 43. I'm just using the payoff formula. Minus P2 was a premium of 7. If I remember that right. And then I'm going to do the same thing. Sorry, I'm going to extend it on to the next line here. Max 0. This was strike of 40. That was P1 minus a premium of 1. And then I'm just going to evaluate these. This one up here is $7 in the money. That was equal to the premium. So that's going to be a break even. Minus this one here is out of the money. And so I'm just going to pick up the premium. That's going to be minus a -1, or I'm going to have $1 in profit. I went through that a little bit fast, but it's basically just plugging into the profit or loss formula. I don't remember how many more problems I put on here, but we got about 5 minutes. Was everybody okay with that? I forgot the multiplier. Good point. Good point. So if I want to bring the multiplier in, what do? I can multiply the whole thing by 100 at the end. So I forgot the multiplier. So with multiplier, so this was equal to 1 with multiplier, I'm going to take 100 times that 1, and I'm going to get 100. So I'm sort of cheating here. If I'd remembered to bring it in at the beginning, I could have just said, okay, the multiplier is 100, so I'm long 100 of these, and I'm short 100 of those there. So I just could have stuck it in right there. Yeah, thanks for reminding me of that. Because that multiplier would have said, I'm long 100 of these, and I'm short 100 of these. Just stick those in right there. Or you can wait till the end and just multiply it by 100. All right, sorry about that. Let me move on to the next, just to see if I can get through these. If you've purchased a put bear spread, what do you want the underlying stock to do? So we're still on the put bear spread, asking a lot of details about this strategy. Put bear spread, what do you want the underlying to do? Move up, move down, trade in a narrow range, increase in volatility without regard to direction. Move down. That's why it's called a bear spread. Remember, the diagram looks like that. Okay, which strategy will benefit from more volatility in a stock? Call bull spread, put bear spread, butterfly spread, or a straddle. That was the straddle. The straddle looks like that, just looks like a V, right? So that's the one if you're long a straddle. You buy a call option and a put option on GE. Both the call and the put option have the same exercise price and expiration date. This strategy is called a, yeah, you're long a straddle. Yeah, I stuck this in right after that. So this is long a straddle. That's buying a call and a put at the same strike. Just looks like a V. You buy a call option on Merit Corp with an exercise price of $50 and an expiration date in July. And you write a call option on Merit Corp with exercise price of 55 and an expiration date of July. This is called a what? So I bought a call at 50 strike. I sold a call at 55 strike. What is that? Am I long a straddle? Is that a calendar spread? Am I short a straddle? Is it a bull spread? So both have the same expiration. They're both July expiration. So it's not a calendar spread. Which one is it? Not short a straddle. Remember, a straddle is you are long a call and long a put. And so short a straddle would be I'm short a call, short a put. We're going to get there eventually. It's a bull spread. It's a bull spread because you're long a call and then you're short another call. And when you combine those together, it looks like that. So know that. Let me see how much I had left. How many problems did I put on here? A lot, yeah. Let me read the next one. If we don't have time for it, at least I read it to you. I'll finish these off and then post them, so at least you'll see the answers. But let's read this one. So this one, we're talking about this diagram here. If in June the stock price is 53, your net profit on a bull call spread, assuming a multiplier of 100, that is buy the 50 call, sell the 55 call, would be what? So this one is actually pretty straightforward. You're calculating profit or loss on a call spread. So that means you're going to be what? Long the call at strike 50. And this one I'll actually remember to put in the multiplier. You can be long 100 of those, and then you're short the calls at 55 strike. and you would just plug that in and calculate that. So I will do that and I'll put that in there. Let me just read the last one here. Maybe there's more than the last one. Consider a straddle using a call and a put with strike 60 if the call premium is 3 and the put premium is 4. What are the break-even prices? So these are back on strategies, break-even prices. If the stock price is 51 at expiration, what is your profit or loss on the long straddle? So similar nature, just different strategy, asking for things like break-even, max loss, calculate profit or loss. So that's it. I'll finish these up before I post this. So so you'll have the answers in here. I'll save this version with all the markup. Otherwise, make sure to get your homework in, and then I'll see everybody on Wednesday.
Professor, I have a question for your derivative rate max loss calculation that you had. You had it as a negative, and then you had these added together. And then I was thinking like, oh, you just distribute it, but it's like, I know you didn't have multiple choice here. If there was multiple choice, would it be max loss of $6 or negative $6? If you're losing it, for me, like I would already think it's negative, you know. But I was just wondering.
Yeah, and so you're saying if you look at the multiple choice, yeah. So if I don't have the word loss, I will say -6.
Okay, so like what is? the
Otherwise,
profit
I'd say
or loss?
$6 loss.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be clear. If it's not, make sure to ask me.
Okay.
That's a good question.
Confused on what like a naked call is versus a naked call.
They're the same,
Oh, okay.
but because there's terminology like a covered call,
Uh-huh.
so to indicate that you don't have a covered call, people will sometimes say, oh, that you have a naked call.
So it's
Just saying you don't hold the underlying, you just hold the call, that's it.
okay. So like the max loss and stuff would be the same as the call.
Just same as the
Okay,
call,
thank
same
you.
as the call. Yep. Hello.
Are we ever gonna get our note sheet back? Because you said you wanted us to give it back, or should we just like take a picture or scan it before?
Should probably take a picture. I can give yours back if you want. But lots of stuff gets jumbled together. But yeah, I can give yours back if you want.
Okay. You know how many calculation questions, or you have an estimate of it for the exam, or it's or it's like
I think I'll,
50?
no, it's probably more.
Oh,
It's probably
okay.
sort of like this. There were a lot of calculation
Oh, okay,
questions.
okay.